I tried to record this video multiple times this week and it hasn't worked, but I'm still trying my best, you know?
Lately, life has been feeling impossible, and I think I know why. It's because the government is against us. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The world isn't fair and nothing is my fault. In all seriousness, life seems to be really difficult for a lot of people right now, myself included. And even in the recording of this video, which ironically is about becoming resilient and navigating the impossibility of life, has been really difficult to record. I tried to record this 3 days ago, but I was having car issues, and my car issues were taking all of my energy. And in fact, yesterday I managed to record some of this video, but then I went back and checked the audio and it was terrible because I've recently bought these new microphones, which cost a lot of money, that just are not working. You're gonna have setbacks in life. It does not define you as a failure. There's this weird buzzing noise, and that's stressing me out too because I bought them in order to perform an interview next week, which is my livelihood, but I need the car to work in order to get to that job. And even the mechanic is struggling to fix the car because it's such a specific issue. It all seems impossible. In this video, I'm gonna share some tools that are going to help you to navigate the adversity of life and to confidently take on the challenges that life is throwing at you, because life seems to be throwing a lot of challenges at people these days. And it's not fun, but truth be told, the reason that life feels impossible, it's because you don't believe in your ability to dominate out of life every single day. Bad news is not something that we can avoid. It's going to happen, but it's our response to that bad news that dictates whether or not we're going to live an effortless life or an impossible life. When we say something like life is impossible, what we're really saying is that we're in a battle against life and life is winning. And for the sake of this video, let's just say that you are in a battle against life. So instead of life slapping us in the face, how do we slap life in the face? Or how do we dance with life? How do we, enjoy the adversity that life throws at us? Or how do we, navigate it in a way that's most graceful? But the first thing is to realize that life's not supposed to be easy. From the moment we're born, we don't have the tools that we need. We're being supported by people around us. We're learning things based on our environment. And it's a challenge. If you remember Pokemon, you'd start off with like a level 3 starter Pokemon and you can't really do much. In order to get to the next town, you gotta beat the first gym leader, but the first gym leader is stronger than you. So the way for you to beat that gym leader is to train up your Pokemon. And then, you go into the battle when you know you've got the right moves and whatever. And then you go and you try, and maybe you win, maybe you don't. Maybe you have to go to the Poke Center to heal your balls. Life is like a game. You're born at level 0, and then your job until you die is to keep leveling up to navigate the next challenge. The whole point is that you need to get out of your comfort zone each time to level up. So the first challenge is, you just gotta find your way to some sort of food that your parents or whoever is giving to you. Difficult for a baby, but when you get older, it's like, okay, that's more manageable now. But then you got the next level on top of that, which is you've got to get the resources to purchase that food or farm the food or whatever. So that's another level up. But you need to learn the skills in order to do that.
So let's say I have these seeds. I could plant these seeds, but it doesn't mean that they're going to grow because there's so many variables that are going to influence whether or not they turn into spinach. I could put it in that ground. I could cover it up, and then maybe it just doesn't rain, so they don't get enough water. Maybe the seed itself is just not strong enough and doesn't germinate. Maybe it does grow and then a slug comes and eats it all. You can do everything right, but life is still gonna do its own thing. And the very fact that some things don't go the way that you plan is the exact same fact that allows the magic to happen for you. You can't win all the time. You're gonna get slapped in the face, but rather than complaining about it, ice the wound or whatever it is you need to do and go back to the drawing board and give it another shot.
After a failure, often our ego will take a hit and think that it can't redeem itself. And that's what was happening with me with the car troubles I was having. I was, there was an issue here and then another issue, and I was like, man, there's so many issues here. I don't know if I can handle this. And then I tried calling a mechanic, and the mechanic was not able to see me. They were just booked out for the next 6 weeks. And then I was like, man, this is really difficult. The best next thing I could do was find another mechanic. And so I went and I found another mechanic. And then I got to the mechanic, and the mechanic could barely even fix my car because the door doesn't open. To open a door is like quite difficult when the door doesn't open. So that 20-minute job took 2.5 hours and cost a lot more money than anyone anticipated. And we're not even finished because we have an oil leak to fix as well. This is all really frustrating, and I felt like life was just pummeling me. But at the same time, the best thing I can do is to show up and to work with what I have. You know, it would be great if I could just get a brand new car tomorrow, but that's not an option right now, and that's totally okay. So in the meantime, I do the best I can with what I have to keep the show on the road, and better things are coming, that's for sure. But right now, we are where we are, and we have to do the best we can with what we have. And life being impossible or life being possible is simply a question of whether or not you're willing to tap into what you already know, or the people around you that might know something or might be able to help you, and doing that little next step. Because that's all it takes to get out of the realm of impossibility into the realm of possibility. It's to do something, take some action, other than retreating into a ball on your bed and crying. That's fine too, but you can still overcome the challenge that you're presented with. Something that I don't think has been taught in school is that life is supposed to be challenging. No one said it's supposed to be easy. Some people try to make it easy through like generational wealth or whatever, but that only solves certain challenges, and there's always going to be another relative challenge that we have to overcome. Whatever you think is going to make life possible for you, that's not what's going to make it possible. What's going to make it possible is your belief that it's possible. Because it's so easy for us to be in a hard situation and say,
or if only I had this, or if only I had that, then it would solve all of my issues.
Well, no, it wouldn't. Because you are a person that believes life is difficult. You believe life is impossible. And so long as you believe it's impossible, you're going to project that onto the events and the things that happen in your life. So life is either impossible or it's possible. Whether you have a Porsche in the driveway and $7 billion in the bank account is not what makes life possible or impossible. Yeah, of course, there's nuance to that, and money does buy things and solve certain problems. But fundamentally, if you are someone that perceives life as a threat to you, as something that is dominating you, then you're not going to realize the potential and the solution within all of these challenges that you stumble upon. And you'll find something to call impossible if you are a person that believes life is impossible. The path is just there, but there's all of this water between here and there. This looks like a path if ever I saw one. Oh shoot, it's wet again. Life not going according to plan and slapping you in the face, it's just a sign that you've been presented with a new task, a new challenge, and you have the resources and you have the ability to cultivate those resources, if you don't already have them, to overcome that challenge that life has presented you. You can slap life back even harder than it slapped you in the first place. Over the last year or so, I really got into running. And I used to hate running. I used to think it was really stupid. I used to think it was really difficult that I couldn't run certain distances. I never thought I could ever do a marathon. But through running and practicing and realizing that every time I started to run, it was really hard. You can run a marathon and then struggle to run 5K 2 weeks later because it sucks to start something new. There's always a challenge. The first few minutes when you get out of bed, you feel groggy. The first 5K of a run usually doesn't feel very nice. But something happens when you persist and get further along down the route. So I'm at 31K now, and I've never felt this good at 31K. So much so that I'm doing an ultra marathon now in 2 weeks from now. That's going to be 53 kilometers. And you might look at that distance and be like, why would you do that? Like, that's so difficult. And it is difficult, but the reason that I do it is because I found it very helpful to willingly put myself in situations that I think are impossible. Like, I thought it was impossible to run a marathon, but then I signed up for a marathon, and you know what I did? I ran the marathon. So now all of a sudden this thing that I thought was impossible was actually possible for me. And now I'm doing something that you know, me 2 years ago would never ever have fathomed that I could do. It's by getting out there and throwing myself into situations that are impossible that I realize actually this is possible. And that's a lot different to my car breaking down or this problem or that problem. But fundamentally, the mindset that is required to get you to finish a marathon is the same mindset that's required to solve your automobile issues or your revenue issues or whatever it might be. It's just one step at a time. What happens is something unfortunate happens and we find ourselves in an uncomfortable situation and we say to ourselves, I can't live like this for another 2 hours or another week or another year. I can't deal with these financial struggles for any longer. But the thing is, you're not being asked to deal with them for another 2 months or another year. Or if it's running, you're not being asked to deal with this pain for the next 2 hours. You're just asked to deal with it for the next moment, the next step. So when running, you know, something weird happens when you run. The further you run, the better it feels for some reason. So what might be difficult for the first 5K ends up being quite effortless for the next 10. And then, you know, it's like up and down. Like sometimes it feels good, sometimes it feels awful. But that's just life. Sometimes business is going well for me, sometimes it's not. Sometimes my car is working, sometimes it's not. That's just natural. That is life. We've been sold this idea that there's a version of life that just feels possible all of the time. And there is, but it's not because you've bought something or because you've built a certain life. It's just because you have realized that you are a badass individual that can slap life in the face 10 times harder than it slaps you. And that's the difference between living a life of impossibilities versus living a life of possibilities. Life is impossible if you want it to be, and it's impossible if you want it to be. But you get to choose which version of life you want to live. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. There's links in the description to guided meditations. There's a newsletter. There's a link to sign up for one-on-one mentorship with me. There's also a link to leave a donation if you found any of the stuff I share on this channel helpful. That's a great way to support the show and keep everything running smoothly. If you like this hoodie, they're for sale downstairs as well. Downstairs? Down in the description. I also just released a new song, so here's a little snippet, and have a great day.